The text message glowed accusingly on Derek's phone screen. "Tonight was amazing. Can't wait to see you again soon. X. Alex." My heart lurched into my throat as I stared at the provocative words, a knot of dread tightening in my gut. "Who the hell is Alex?" I asked, my voice sharp enough to cut glass. Derek glanced up from his laptop, his handsome face a mask of innocence. "What are you talking about?" I thrust the phone at him. "Don't play dumb with me. Who is she and why is she sending you flirty texts in the middle of the night?" He barely looked at the screen before tossing the phone aside with an eye roll. "Relax, Cora. It's just a work thing. Alex is a colleague." At 1 a.m., talking about how amazing tonight was? Hot fury roiled through me. "Do you really expect me to believe that?" "Believe what you want," he said coolly, turning back to his computer. "You're blowing this way out of proportion." I snatched the phone up again, my fingers trembling as I scrolled through more messages. Each one was like a knife blade to the heart. Inside jokes, winky faces, references to clandestine meetings. The evidence of my husband's betrayal mounted before my very eyes. "A year," I whispered, horror dawning as I pieced together the timeline. "These go back an entire year. How could you?" His shoulders stiffened, but he didn't look up. "You're being ridiculous. I'm not having this conversation." "No, we are definitely having this conversation." I grabbed his laptop and slammed it shut. He opened his mouth to protest, but I cut him off, waving the phone in his face. "Explain this, Derek. Explain to me how your coworker is sending you texts about secret hookups and lacy red lingerie. Tell me this isn't what it looks like." For a long moment, he just stared at me, his face unreadable. Then he slowly stood up, towering over me. "You want the truth?" His voice was low and dangerous. "Fine. Yes, Alex and I are sleeping together. Have been for months. And you know what? I don't regret a damn thing." The words slammed into me like a physical blow. I stumbled back, bile rising in my throat. "How could you?" I choked out. "After everything we've been through together, how could you throw it all away like this?" He barked a humorless laugh. "Don't act so high and mighty, Cora. Our marriage has been a sham for years. You're always working, always nagging me, never giving me a moment's peace. With Alex, I can actually breathe." Tears blurred my vision as his cruel words carved me hollow. I wanted to scream, to rage at him, to throw something, but I felt paralyzed, gutted, like he had reached in and ripped out everything that mattered. "I think you should go," I finally managed to whisper. "Get out of my sight before I do something we'll both regret." He smirked, grabbing his keys off the counter. "Best idea you've had in a long time. Don't wait up." The door slammed behind him with a boom of finality. I sank to the floor, buried my head in my hands, and let the floodgates burst open. Sobs racked my body as the perfect life I thought I had shattered around me like broken glass. How had it come to this? When did my marriage, my whole world, start crumbling without me even realizing it? The questions swirled in my mind, sharp and relentless. But one thing crystallized through the haze of anguish and fury. Derek would pay for this betrayal. If it was the last thing I did, I would make him regret the day he broke our vows and shattered my heart. This was only the beginning. The next morning I woke up with puffy eyes and a throbbing headache, the remnants of a sleepless night spent alternating between crying and seething. Derek's side of the bed was cold and empty, a stark reminder of the bombshell he had dropped on our marriage. I dragged myself out of bed and into the shower, letting the scalding water wash away the tears and the lingering scent of Derek's cologne. As I stood under the spray, a steely resolve settled over me. I refused to be the victim in this story. It was time to take action. My first call was to Lena, my ride-or-die best friend since college. She picked up on the second ring, her voice thick with sleep. "Cora, it's barely 7 a.m. This better be good. Derek's cheating on me," I said flatly. "I found the text last night. It's been going on for a year." Silence stretched across the line for a beat, then Lena exploded. "That slimy lying snake! I'll kill him. I'll rip him limb from limb with my bare hands." Despite everything, a small smile tugged at my lips. Lena's loyalty was fierce and unwavering. "I need you to help me dig up dirt on him and his mistress. This is war, and I intend to win it." "Consider it done," Lena said grimly. "I've got your back, always. That scumbag picked the wrong woman to screw over." We spent the morning huddled over our laptops and phones, piecing together the sordid details of Derek's affair. Lena worked her social media magic, scouring profiles and timelines for incriminating evidence. I hacked into Derek's email, my stomach turning as I scrolled through months of explicit messages and hotel reservations. The picture that emerged was even worse than I had imagined. Alexis Reed, a leggy blonde, 10 years Derek's junior, worked as a junior associate at his law firm. Their affair had started as flirty banter over happy-hour drinks and quickly escalated into clandestine hookups in seedy motels and weekend getaways disguised as business trips. "That snake," Lena hissed as we pored over the damning evidence. "He's been living a double life this whole time, betraying you at every turn." I nodded grimly, a cold fury crystallizing in my veins. "And now it's time to make him pay." We were deep in plotting mode when the front door slammed light, announcing Derek's return. He sauntered into the kitchen, his hair mussed and his shirt wrinkled. The stench of stale perfume clung to him like a second skin. "Well, well, look what the cat dragged in," I said icily, crossing my arms. "Have a good night with your mistress?" His eyes narrowed. "Don't start, Cora. I told you it's not what you think." "Oh, so you didn't spend the night screwing your perky little secretary?" "The receipts beg to differ." I threw a stack of printed emails onto the counter. They fanned out like a dirty deck of cards, spelling out his betrayal in black and white. Derek blanched, his mouth opening and closing like a landed fish. "Where did you get those?" "You had no right." "I had every right," I snarled, slamming my hand down on the counter. "I'm your wife, Derek. Or did you forget that when you were shacking up with your office slut?" His face twisted with rage. "Watch your mouth. You have no idea what you're talking about." "I know exactly what I'm talking about," I shot back. "Sneaking around behind my back, funneling money into a secret account, planning a new life with her. Did you really think I wouldn't find out?" For a moment, he looked almost guilty, but then his eyes hardened and he straightened up, squaring his shoulders. "You know what? Fine. You caught me. But if you were half the wife Alexis is, maybe I wouldn't have had to look elsewhere." His words sliced through me like razors, but I refused to let the pain show on my face. I would not give him the satisfaction of seeing me break. "Get out," I said quietly, deadly calm. "Get out of my house and my life. I'll be seeing you in court." The slamming of the front door echoed through the house like a gunshot, punctuating Derek's exit. I stood in the kitchen, my heart racing and my hands shaking with a toxic cocktail of fury and adrenaline. Lena placed a steadying hand on my shoulder. "You okay?" she asked gently. I shook my head, blinking back the hot tears that threatened to spill over. "No, but I will be, once I make that bastard pay for what he's done." We spent the rest of the day in full revenge mode, combing through the evidence we'd gathered and crafting a meticulous plan to expose Derek's misdeeds. Lena suggested hiring a private investigator to dig up even more dirt, but I balked at the idea of inviting a stranger into this personal hell. "I can do it myself," I insisted, my jaw set with determination. "I need to be the one to take him down, to show him that he messed with the wrong woman." Lena nodded, her eyes glinting with a fierce loyalty. "Just be careful, Cor. Derek's a snake, but he's a smart one. Don't underestimate him." As if on cue, my phone buzzed with an incoming text. It was from Derek. "We need to talk. I'm coming over." I showed Lena the message, my lip curling in disgust. "Speak of the devil. He probably wants to try and smooth things over, play the victim card." "Don't let him," Lena warned. "He'll twist everything around and make you doubt yourself. Stand your ground." I took a deep breath, steeling myself for the confrontation to come. "Don't worry, I'm done falling for his lies." Half an hour later, Derek walked through the door, his expression a carefully crafted mask of contrition. "Cora, baby, I'm so sorry," he started, reaching for me. "I never meant to hurt you." I recoiled from his touch, crossing my arms defensively. "Spare me the bullshit, Derek. You're not sorry you did it. You're sorry you got caught." His eyes flashed with irritation before he quickly smoothed his features back into a look of wounded sincerity. "That's not true. I love you, Cora. What happened with Alexis? It was a mistake. A stupid, reckless mistake." A harsh laugh escaped my throat. "A mistake? A year-long affair with your secretary is a mistake? Draining our savings account to buy her expensive gifts and fancy vacations is a mistake?" His face paled as he realized the extent of what I knew. Have you been spying on me?" "I didn't have to," I spat. You weren't exactly subtle about it. Did you really think I wouldn't notice the mysterious charges on our credit card bill? The late nights at the office that never seemed to result in any actual work getting done? Derek dragged a hand over his face, his mask slipping to reveal a hint of the ugly anger lurking beneath. You're being irrational. It wasn't like that. Alexis and I, we have a connection. She understands me in a way you never could. White-hot rage surged through my veins. Don't you dare try to justify this. There is no excuse for what you've done. You betrayed me, our marriage, everything we built together. Oh, please, he scoffed. Our marriage has been a joke for years. You're always nagging me, always on my case about every little thing. It's exhausting. At least Alexis appreciates me. I reeled back as if he had slapped me, my heart shattering into a million jagged pieces. Get out, I whispered, my voice deadly calm. Get out of my house and don't come back. You'll be hearing from my lawyer. A flicker of fear crossed his face before it twisted into an ugly sneer. Fine. Have it your way, but don't think for a second that you're going to come out on top here. I'll bury you in court. As the door slammed behind him for the second time that day, I collapsed onto the couch, as my entire body shaking with a potent mix of heartbreak and fury. The gloves were off now. Derek wanted to play dirty? Fine, could play dirty too. And I'd make damn sure I was the one left standing when the dust settled. The next few days passed in a blur of secret phone calls, clandestine meetings, and careful strategizing. While Derek swanned around town with his mistress, flaunting their affair like a badge of honor, I quietly laid the groundwork for his downfall. My first unexpected ally came in the form of Elise, Derek's older sister. She showed up on my doorstep unannounced one evening, her face lined with concern. I heard about what happened, she said without preamble as I let her in. I'm so sorry, Cora. My brother is a fool. I blinked in surprise, thrown off balance by her blunt words. Elise and I had always had a cordial relationship, but we weren't particularly close. Thanks, I managed. That means a lot. She fixed me with a piercing stare, her eyes so like Derek's that it made my heart ache. I'm not here just to offer condolences. I want to help you nail the bastard to the wall. A startled laugh escaped my lips. I'm sorry, what? Elise leaned forward, her expression deadly serious. Derek has always been a selfish prick, even when we were kids. I've watched him charm and manipulate his way through life, never facing consequences for his actions. It's time that changed. Hope flared in my chest, bright and fierce. With Elise on my side, I stood a real chance of making Derek pay for his betrayal. What did you have in mind? A slow smile spread across her face. I have some ideas, but first, there are some things you should know about my dear brother's past indiscretions. Over the next hour, Elise laid out a trail of infidelities and deceptions that stretched back years. Affairs with coworkers, flings with clients, even a drunken hookup with a stripper at his bachelor party. Each revelation was like a knife to the gut, twisting deeper with every sordid detail. I had no idea, I whispered, numb with shock and disgust. How could I have been so blind? Elise reached out and squeezed my hand, her grip strong and reassuring. He's very good at hiding his tracks. But not good enough. Not anymore. Armed with this new information and Elise's support, I threw myself into plotting Derek's comeuppance with renewed vigor. Lena was thrilled to have another ally in our corner, especially one with insider knowledge. We need to hit him where it hurts, she declared as we pored over our growing dossier of evidence. His reputation, his career, his precious public image. Make it so he can't show his face in this town without being haunted by his own misdeeds. I nodded grimly, a cold determination settling over me like armor. And I know just how to do it. The plan began to take shape, as intricate and delicate as a spider's web. We would lay the trap at Derek's upcoming birthday party, a lavish affair he had planned to cement his status as a rising star at his law firm. In front of all his colleagues, friends, and family, we would expose his true colors in spectacular fashion. It was a risk, I knew. If we played our cards wrong, it could all blow up in our faces. But the thought of seeing the look on Derek's face when he realized he had been beaten at his own game was too tempting to resist. Late one night, as I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, Elise's parting words echoed in my mind. He doesn't deserve you, Cora. He never did. It's time to show the world who you really are. A force to be reckoned with. I closed my eyes, picturing the moment of truth, the shock and outrage on Derek's face, the vindication of finally making him answer for his crimes. It was a long road ahead, but for the first time since this nightmare began, I felt a flicker of something that might have been hope. Watch out, Derek. Your reckoning is coming. And her name is Cora Bennett. The week leading up to Derek's birthday party was a whirlwind of covert operations and meticulous planning. Elise, Lena, and I met in secret, fine-tuning every detail of our grand scheme. We compiled a dossier of evidence that laid bare Derek's web of lies and infidelities, explicit text messages, incriminating photos, even a few damning voice recordings, courtesy of Elise's PI friend. It was a veritable treasure trove of betrayal, and I couldn't wait to unleash it on the unsuspecting partygoers. Lena took charge of the technical aspects, putting together a slideshow that would expose Derek's misdeeds in humiliating fashion. She even managed to hack into his email and uncover a trail of money transfers to a secret offshore account. Bastard's been siphoning funds for months, she spat, her fingers flying over the keyboard. Probably planning to run off with his little side piece and leave you high and dry. Rage boiled in my veins, hot and corrosive. Not if I have anything to say about it. As the party drew near, I threw myself into the role of dutiful wife, helping Derek plan the celebration with a smile on my face and vengeance in my heart. He remained blissfully unaware of the storm gathering on the horizon, too caught up in his own ego to notice the danger signs. The night before the party, as we lay in bed, he reached for me with a lecherous grin. "How about a little pre-birthday surprise?" he purred, his hand sliding up my thigh. I fought back a shudder of revulsion and forced a coy smile. "Patience, baby. I've got something extra special planned for tomorrow night. Wouldn't want to ruin the surprise." His eyes gleamed with anticipation. I liked the sound of that. You know how much I love your surprises. If only you knew, I thought grimly. The day of the party dawned bright and clear, a perfect contrast to the dark storm brewing inside me. I went through the motions of getting ready, my mind buzzing with a heady mix of nerves and exhilaration. Lena and Elise arrived early to help with the final preparations, exchanging tense smiles and meaningful looks as we worked. The air crackled with a sense of impending chaos, like the calm before a hurricane. As the first guests began to arrive, I plastered on my most charming smile and played the role of gracious hostess to perfection. Derek held court by the bar, regaling his adoring audience with tales of his latest courtroom triumphs. I watched him work the room, all smooth charm and easy confidence, and felt a swell of vicious satisfaction. Enjoy it while you can, you smug bastard. Your reign ends tonight. The party was in full swing when Elise caught my eye from across the room, giving me a subtle nod. It was time. I made my way to the front of the room, clinking my glass to get everyone's attention. "Can I have everyone's attention, please? I'd like to say a few words." A hush fell over the crowd as all eyes turned to me expectantly. Derek shot me a questioning look, but I ignored him, my gaze sweeping over the sea of faces. "First of all, I want to thank you all for coming tonight to celebrate my wonderful husband," I began, my voice dripping with false sincerity. Derek is an incredible man, successful, charming, loved by all who know him. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the room, and Derek preened under the praise, his chest puffing out with pride. I let the moment hang for a beat before my smile turned sharp and cutting. But there's another side to Derek that most of you don't know about, a side that lies, cheats, and betrays those closest to him without a second thought. Confusion flickered across Derek's face as I spoke, quickly morphing into anger as realization began to dawn. "Cora," he warned, his voice low and dangerous, "what the hell are you doing?" I ignored him, nodding to Lena, who stood poised by the projector. "I think it's time everyone saw the real Derek Bennett. Roll the tape." The first slide flashed onto the screen behind me, and the room erupted into chaos. The projector hummed to life, casting a harsh light across the stunned faces of the partygoers. One by one, the damning slides flashed across the screen. Intimate photos of Derek and Alexis, screenshots of explicit text messages, bank statements detailing his secret transfers. Derek's face drained of color as he watched his dirty laundry being aired for all to see. His eyes darted wildly around the room, seeking an escape, but there was none to be found. "What the fuck is this?" he snarled, rounding on me with fury in his eyes. You crazy bitch, turn it off! I stood my ground, my chin lifted in defiance. What's the matter, Derek? Afraid everyone will see what a lying, cheating scumbag you really are? He lunged for me but was intercepted by Elise, who stepped smoothly into his path. Ah, little brother, the show's not over yet. The final slide clicked into place, a giant red heart with the words, "Happy Birthday, Derek," scrawled across it in mocking cursive. The room fell silent for a beat, the tension stretching taut as a bowstring. Then the murmurs started, shocked whispers swelling to a dull roar as the truth sank in. Derek stood frozen, his fists clenched and his face twisted with impotent rage. "Derek, is this true?" A portly man in an expensive suit stepped forward, his brow furrowed in disapproval. I recognized him as Derek's boss, a senior partner at the law firm. Derek opened his mouth, a denial hot on his tongue, but the words died in his throat as he met the man's steely gaze. I can't explain," he stammered, but it was clear that no explanation would suffice. "I'm disappointed in you, Bennett." His boss said coldly, "I thought you were a man of integrity. It seems I was mistaken." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd as Derek's colleagues and clients turned their backs on him, their faces etched with disgust. He looked around wildly, searching for a friendly face, but found only condemnation. "Please, just let me explain," he begged, his voice cracking with desperation, but no one wanted to hear it. Alexis, who had been watching the scene unfold with a stricken expression, chose that moment to bolt for the door, her heels clattering on the hardwood floor. Derek called after her, but she didn't look back, vanishing into the night without a backward glance. And then it was just Derek, standing alone in the center of the room, the shattered remnants of his once charmed life scattered at his feet. I walked up to him slowly, my heels clicking on the floor like gunshots. He flinched as I drew near, shrinking away from the icy fury in my eyes. "How does it feel?" I asked softly, my voice trembling with barely suppressed rage. "To have everything you've ever worked for, everything you've ever cared about, ripped away in an instant? To know that you've lost it all because of your own selfish, despicable actions?" "Cora, please," he whispered, his eyes glassy with unshed tears. "I'm sorry. I never meant to hurt you." A harsh laugh tore from my throat. "Spare me the crocodile tears, Derek. We both know you're only sorry you got caught." I leaned in close, my lips brushing his ear. "I loved you, you know. I would have done anything for you, but you threw it all away for a cheap thrill with your secretary, and now you're going to pay the price." He shuddered, a broken sob escaping his lips. "What are you going to do?" I smiled, cold and sharp as a knife's edge. "Oh, my dear husband, you have no idea what I'm capable of." With that, I turned on my heel and walked away, leaving him to wallow in the ruins of his once perfect life. The trap had been sprung. The mighty Derek Bennett had fallen, and I had never felt more alive. The fallout from the party was swift and brutal. Within days, the news of Derek's disgrace had spread like wildfire through our social circles and beyond. Whispers followed him wherever he went, judgmental stares and scathing remarks dogging his every step. At work, the consequences were even more severe. His boss called him into his office the morning after the party, his face grim and his tone unforgiving. "I'm putting you on administrative leave, effective immediately," he said, sliding a sheaf of papers across the desk. "The firm can't afford to be associated with this kind of scandal. You're lucky I don't fire you outright." Derek's face paled as he reached for the papers with a trembling hand. "Sir, please. I can fix this. Just give me a chance to explain." His boss shook his head, his expression implacable. "There's nothing to explain, Bennett. Your actions speak for themselves. Take the leave, get your shit together, and pray that this blows over. But don't expect any favors from me or anyone else at this firm." Defeated, Derek slunk out of the office like a whipped dog, his tail tucked between his legs. I watched from the shadows, a thrill of vicious satisfaction coursing through my veins. That afternoon, Elise and Lena took me out to celebrate our victory. We clinked glasses of champagne, giddy with the rush of revenge fulfilled. "God, did you see his face?" Lena crowed, her eyes bright with malicious glee. "I thought he was going to piss himself right there on the floor." Elise laughed, tossing her hair over her shoulder. "Serves him right, the arrogant prick. I've been waiting years to see him get his comeuppance." I sipped my champagne, letting the bubbles dance on my tongue. It's not over yet, ladies. There's still one more loose end to tie up. Their eyes met mine, alight with understanding. The divorce, Elise said, her voice low and serious. Are you ready for that fight? I set my glass down, my smile sharp as a blade. I was born ready. He wants to play hardball? I'll bury him. That night, I sat Derek down and laid out my terms. He sat across from me at the kitchen table, his shoulders slumped and his eyes hollow. I want a divorce, I said flatly, sliding a stack of papers across the table. I've already had my lawyer draw up the paperwork. All you have to do is sign. He stared at the papers like they were a coiled snake, ready to strike. Cora, please, can't we talk about this? I know I fucked up, but I can change. I can be better. I barked a harsh laugh. Spare me the act, Derek. We both know you're not capable of change. You're a liar and a cheat, and that's all you'll ever be. He flinched as if I'd slapped him, his eyes welling with tears. I love you, Cora. Doesn't that count for anything? You don't know the meaning of the word, I spat, my voice trembling with rage. If you loved me, you never would have betrayed me the way you did. You never would have shattered our marriage like it meant nothing. He reached for me, but I recoiled, revulsion etched into every line of my face. Don't touch me. Don't ever fucking touch me again. Sighing, he picked up the pen with a shaking hand. Is this really what you want? To throw away everything we've built together? I met his gaze, my eyes hard and unyielding. You threw it away the moment you stuck your dick in another woman. I'm just finishing what you started. He signed the papers in silence, his shoulders shaking with quiet sobs. I watched him coldly, feeling nothing but a grim sense of satisfaction. It was done. The final nail in the coffin of our farce of a marriage. I was free. Free from his lies, his betrayals, his poisonous presence in my life, and I had never felt more alive. The divorce proceedings were a blur of legal jargon and bitter accusations, each side fighting tooth and nail for every scrap of assets and advantage. Derek, ever the sore loser, tried every dirty trick in the book to paint me as the villain, the unstable wife who drove him into another woman's arms. But I had truth on my side, and a crack team of lawyers who ate his pathetic arguments for breakfast. In the end, the judge saw through his lies and manipulation, granting me a generous settlement and the satisfaction of watching Derek slink out of the courtroom like a beaten dog. As I walked out of the courthouse, my head held high and my divorce papers clutched tightly in my hand, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. It was over. I was free. Lena was waiting for me on the steps, a bottle of champagne and 2 glasses in hand. Congratulations, babe, she crowed, pulling me into a fierce hug. You did it. You're officially a free woman. I laughed, my heart feeling lighter than it had in years. Damn right I am, and I couldn't have done it without you and Elise. I owe you both everything. We popped the champagne, the bubbles fizzing over our hands as we poured 2 generous glasses. To new beginnings, Lena said, clinking her glass against mine, and to the power of women scorned. I grinned, taking a deep sip of the effervescent liquid. It tasted like victory, like vindication, like the start of a whole new chapter. In the weeks that followed, I threw myself into rebuilding my life. I found a new apartment, a sunny loft in the heart of downtown that felt like a haven after the oppressive gloom of the house I'd shared with Derek. I poured my energy into my work, taking on new clients and projects with a renewed sense of purpose. And slowly but surely, I started to heal. The pain of Derek's betrayal still stung, a dull ache that flared up in the quiet moments, but it no longer consumed me. I had survived, and I was stronger for it. One day, as I was leaving the office, I ran into Derek on the street. He looked haggard, his suit rumpled, and his eyes bloodshot. For a moment, I felt a flicker of pity for the broken man he had become. But then he opened his mouth, and any shred of sympathy I might have felt evaporated like mist in the sun. Cora, he said, his voice rough and slurred. I miss you. I made a mistake. Can't we just talk about this? I stared at him incredulously, a harsh laugh bubbling up in my throat. Are you serious right now? After everything you've done, you have the nerve to ask for another chance? He reached for me, his eyes pleading. I still love you, Cor. I know I fucked up, but we can fix this. We can start over. I slapped his hand away, my face twisting with disgust. You don't get to call me that anymore. You don't get to pretend like we can just erase the past and start fresh. You made your choices, Derek. Now you have to live with them. I turned to walk away, but his next words stopped me in my tracks. You ruined my life, you vindictive bitch. I hope you're happy now. Slowly, I pivoted back to face him, my eyes narrowed to icy slits. I am happy, Derek. Happy to be rid of you and your toxic bullshit. Happy to finally be free of the lies and the cheating and the gaslighting. You didn't ruin my life, Derek. You just made me realize how strong I am without you. With that, I turned on my heel and walked away, my head high and my heart full. I didn't look back. That night, Elise and Lena took me out to celebrate my new life. We clinked glasses of red wine and traded stories of triumph over adversity, of women who had risen from the ashes of betrayal to build something beautiful and strong. As I looked around at their smiling faces, I felt a surge of gratitude and love, so powerful it nearly took my breath away. These women, my sisters in arms, had been my rock through the darkest of times. With them by my side, I knew I could weather any storm. The future stretched out before me, bright and full of promise. I had no idea what it held, but for the first time in a long time, I was excited to find out. Because I knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, I would face them with my head held high and my heart unbroken. I was Cora fucking Bennett, and I was unbreakable.